always gonna happen to you. And things will change. And, you never know what's gonna, happen next. And that's what makes things exciting and scary and fun. Yeah, okay, so stay cool, and I can't wait to be you. Love, Kayla. Gucci.
Hey everyone, welcome to this week's podcast or whatever. This week we are going to be talking about the movie Eighth Grade or whatever. I'm joined with all of my BFS, Hannah because she's like the best, and Kyle because he's like cool or whatever, and of course, who can forget Trevor. Don't look at me. And I'm Gigi. So yeah.
It sounds like you almost forgot Trevor.
I know.
Think master.
So yeah, if you've seen the movie Eighth Grade, that was inspired by that. So yeah.
Bravo, bravo.
So yes, thank you. So like I said, this week we're talking about Eighth Grade, which is a movie written and directed by Bo Burnham. It is rated R, and the runtime is approximately 94 minutes. It was released in 2018, and this is what the back of the cover says. 13-year-old Kayla endures the tidal wave of contemporary suburban adolescence as she makes her way through the last week of middle school, the end of her thus far disastrous 8th grade year, before she begins high school. Bam! So yeah, there are a ton of questions to get through. Again, this is a shortened list. So we'll start. So the first question is, most coming of age / teen movies take place in high school. Do you feel like this movie could be labeled as a typical teen movie?
Yes, let me get my notes here. In oh god,
are we supposed to talk like teenagers too?
No, it was just an intro. But if you want to, you could, I guess.
I mean, it's cool or whatever.
So what I have for that is the notion that most movies take place in high school because that's stereotypically a time for big changes in a teenager as they reach adulthood. However, since the youth of this generation are growing up much faster, this could be considered a teen movie for a new generation. Times have changed drastically, and so have the youth. Teens are learning the means to grow up much quicker than we did as kids, and the internet and technology is a huge means to that end. I think we'll see more films like this with younger casts as time goes forward.
Beautiful. 8 out of 10.
End of my essay.
10 out of 10.
Well, shit. That was...
Yeah, follow up, Kyle.
That was more in depth than what I put, but...
Just, yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't consider it typical. For me, this movie was unpredictable in a good way. I wasn't always sure what to think or what was going to happen next. 8th grade felt much more raw and more realistic than typical, which would separate it from other typical teen movies that I've seen in the past. So I don't think it was typical, but I see where Hannah's coming from.
I put, a lot of the same concepts are present in this movie, such as wanting to fit in, have friends, be considered cool. There's awkwardness, wanting something better for yourself, and then sort of I guess looking ahead. So I say it is sort of like a typical teen movie, minus all the singing that seems to be present in those movies. But I think they're still dealing with the same thing just because she's on the precipice of high school.
Yeah.
She's on that cusp.
Yeah.
There's so much singing in Breakfast Club, I can't even believe it.
Yeah, so I was gonna go with Hannah as well, with the fact of like this is the teens now. This is how they would be. I mean, I obviously we're not teenagers, so we don't know what they're going through. But I feel like this would be their teen movie moment, um, and I can kind of see where Kyle's coming from with it's not so typical, where like the not so cool kid kind of becomes popular at the end because Kayla doesn't have that moment of like I don't care. Well, she kind of does. She does have her moment of like, I don't care what people think, but she doesn't have the moment where like she becomes popular, which I feel like tends to happen in teen movies.
Hmm.
But she gets to the point where she's comfortable with herself, which I think is a really good lesson, especially in like a coming of age teen movie.
Yeah.
Okay. So kids nowadays, no, I just said it wrong. Anyways, kids nowadays are used to being on camera, which gives this movie more of a realistic feel. Do you feel like an older cast could achieve the same feeling? Also, realistic feel, I don't know, the wording's a little weird, but like just kind of like what Kyle said, like the rawness of the movie. Do you think an older cast would have been able to achieve that same feeling?
I actually don't think an older audience could achieve the same feeling. It's very evident in the generational change.
Mm,
I think it's very potent that younger audiences and therefore younger casts are easily able to emulate that feeling because they are, like you said, used to being on camera. Everything's filmed now, everything is recorded, so they're just used to that lifestyle.
yeah.
I think even if an older actor was used to be filmed or was like used to being filmed, I still think because of the difference in generation and the difference in technology, they wouldn't achieve that same feeling. It's just like a very drastic difference between the two generations. So even if they tried, I don't think they could ever achieve that same thing.
Yeah.
All right. Um, so reading this question, I wasn't exactly sure if you meant like an older cast meant like an older grade or not, but I don't think you meant that. Like, where
Yeah.
were you going for? Like, older
Like
people
older
playing eighth
actors.
graders?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Because that's typically what happens in, like, I feel like
The high
the
school ones, they're like
movies.
25
Yeah.
year
Oh my
olds.
god.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
25-year-olds.
Grease.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Grease. Good example there.
Yeah.
I'm like 45, but look at me. I'm
They're
just
clearly
18.
16, duh.
um, so, uh, I don't think it would have the same feel. Um, but with that being said, I haven't really hung out with eighth graders since I was in eighth grade, about 10 years ago.
Good for you, Kyle.
You
I did
haven't?
2 days ago.
um, but even back then, for me, when I was in eighth grade, there were a lot of kids already that had phones and they were taking selfies and making videos and whatnot. Um, granted, those videos back then were way like worse quality, and like people were just they didn't know what the hell they were doing. They were just making stupid videos.
Right.
Um, but I mean, I didn't exactly find it surprising to see these kids in this movie acting as eighth graders, to be on Snapchat, making YouTube videos and whatnot. I think it's just something that kids have sort of adapted to, and over the years, they've known to get familiar with, the internet and technology earlier and earlier in their lives. So yeah, I don't think it was for me. It wasn't really a surprise to see these eighth graders just glued to their phones, recording themselves and all that. So I feel like for me it was realistic because that's what I would imagine eighth graders being, and I don't know if an older cast would have made a difference. I think if anything, I don't know. There's that sort of time or like age group that's like so so particular for eighth graders or seventh graders or even sixth graders. Like they all kind of, look the same, but like once you hit high school, like I don't know, there's like suddenly they look older.
Yeah.
So I mean, some of those high school movies where you get those 20 something year olds playing 17-year-olds, like it can work sometimes, but I don't know if it would be the same feeling if it was like, 16 or 17-year-olds trying to play 13-year-olds. I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
That is an interesting point, though. Like, just looking at us, um, and the generational differences between all of us. I mean, we're
Yeah.
not that far apart, but
No.
like Kyle just said, he's used to seeing kids like filming themselves, but that really didn't happen when I was in eighth grade.
yeah.
Same.
It was, way more down the line, maybe like even towards the end of high school when kids
Yeah.
were like becoming aware of YouTube and filming themselves for YouTube videos and things like that.
Hmm.
It just
Yeah.
wasn't a thing. So it's really interesting to, hear someone who's really not that far down the line from me, and that couple of years, technology has just taken over.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like in one of the scenes, the mall scene where the group of them, the seniors, are talking, and they start questioning her, like, "Oh, when did you have Snapchat?" She's like, "Fifth grade," and they kind of go, "Oh my God, she had it in fifth grade." Like it feels kind of like the same, where it's just like, "Oh my God, you had a phone in middle school." And we're over here like, "What the fuck?" Like,
Yeah.
I didn't even have a phone
Yeah,
till
my phone
freshman
didn't even
year.
have a camera.
same.
So, yeah, so it's definitely like one of those things where it's always gonna be constantly the older generation going, "Damn, you had that when you were in that grade," like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
so.
but that's just technology. Like
Oh
kids
yeah,
these days are growing up with that technology, so like they're already good with computers by the
yeah,
time they hit kindergarten.
that is
Whereas like
true
I
Well,
though.
took a typing class, I think in sixth grade,
In
like
sixth
just to
grade,
learn how to type. Yeah.
I
I
took it
blame all the
junior.
moms that give their kids iPads to keep them busy.
Well, to be fair, now with the pandemic, that's all the kids had to learn
Yeah.
now. Like they have to
That's
use an
true, but
iPad
I
and a
mean, even
computer.
before that, I'm talking like just like I need to shop in the store. Here, have the iPad for a few minutes
Yeah.
while I shop.
Or like their phone or something.
Well, to be
yeah.
Yeah,
fair, we're
Play on
not
these
in that
apps.
situation. We don't have kids. We don't know the struggle, the what the morning was like before they even got to the store, or the screaming that occurred in the car. Like, there's so many different like variables to it. Like, yeah, maybe 5 minutes with the iPad in the store is like your only quiet time to think, you know?
true.
All right,
Then
but
how
think
did they do
about
it before then?
yeah, what they do.
Like when we were kids,
Yeah.
I
we
don't
didn't
know.
have
You
iPads.
Like you just
yell at
dealt
us.
with screaming kids.
I don't
Anyway,
know.
Pulling the old person
It
card.
could be a whole thing.
so I put no. It would definitely change the feel of the movie. Um, an older cast would have actually, I think, taken away from the experience because there's a scene where near the end they're about to shadow their high school counterparts, and you can see like these tiny kids just marching through the middle of this high school and these high school seniors lined up against the lockers, and like there's a physical difference between them.
Yeah.
Like some of the kids, you could tell they had maybe like some growth spurts here and there, but they're nowhere near the high school counterparts. Like if they have like this older audience playing them, there wouldn't have been as much of a physical difference in. I think you wouldn't have seen like that. Oh well, um, I think it would have taken away maybe from like the sympathizing you're supposed to be doing for Kayla
Yeah.
Yeah.
because she looks older. Maybe she could take care of herself more and so on and so forth. But like
Hmm.
she's like this younger person
Yeah.
trying to deal with like her peers and then like the older people as well.
Yeah.
It's like if they used an older cast and they marched them down like a high school, they would have looked pretty similar, if not the
Yeah.
same. And
Yeah.
it would have just been like, okay, so what?
Mhm. Yeah. I agree. Yeah. I think it would have taken you out of like that cringy feeling you got. Like I felt like I cringed a lot in this movie, mostly because I could relate to her. But I feel like seeing someone maybe not my age, but someone a little bit older than her, I feel like it would have really taken it out of the movie. You're not really experiencing it from like a younger person's view. Um, and I also like put in sometimes it's very noticeable. I couldn't think of a movie for like a reference, but when they have the love interest be either younger or older than the main character, and it feels really like just gross because you're just like that person's like 20 and the person that's playing the love interest is either like 17 or like 35, and you're just like this is no, this isn't okay. um, so yeah, I think an older
Not
cast would
Twilight
have
in a
done better.
nutshell.
Twilight, oh, I guess, but like at least the actor wasn't that much older than his counterpart.
That's true. His character was like 10,000 years older than her, though.
He
So.
was like 900,
True.
okay.
923 to be exact.
We're not talking about Twilight.
Right, sorry.
Okay, so the next one is there are a few scenes where we don't actually hear what is going on in those scenes. Do you think those scenes should be heard, or is the acting and background music enough? More so with the moment after the car scene.
Oof.
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 Oh, I was waiting for Trevor to say oof. Okay.
That's on you, Hannah. That's on you.
Yeah, that's my bad. I like those scenes the way they are. I'm always fascinated when a director chooses to use something different, especially audio, than what we're seeing on screen, because it tells me that the audience, it tells me as the audience that it was specifically a director's choice to do that. The scenes often mean a lot more to me because the director feels that they need more to accomplish the message of what's actually happening. And with the case of the car, I liked that it was Kayla's voiceover that was playing during her like visual reaction that we could see. It was a really cool juxtaposition because we could see that she was visually very, very upset. But the dialogue that was going on was just kind of somber. And it creates, a difference in it, but it also makes it more sad because it's a consequence of what happened. So it made it sad to me because, I didn't have to hear her dad try and comfort her. I just instead heard the aftermath sorrow that she had and the misery that she was going through as she was quitting, her videos and everything. And the fact that it was, a consequence of what happened just made it all the better. So it, made it more sad and more effective to me in the long run, and definitely forces you to kind of read between the lines earlier than you're meant to. So I appreciated that a lot.
Nice. Yeah, I kind of on the same boat as Hannah. I think the acting and the background music is enough. It's understood that after the car scene, she was obviously upset, and her storming upstairs, her father chasing after her. You can use, the context clues to figure out, the whole mood. And I think not adding the dialogue and just sort of letting it play out is sort of it's a great way to add drama and I don't know, like hopelessness. I don't know, you as the viewer get to just watch and sort of fill in the blanks. And it's okay that you don't exactly know what's being said because you can kind of already, you should be smart enough to understand what's going on and why she's upset and why he's coming after her. And, I like it when movies do that. I think it's just a different, do you guys hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. Someone is like banging on the, I don't know. Anyway, it's really annoying. It's distracting me. But yeah, I like it when movies do that. I think it's a different twist on how to approach dramatic moments in movies.
Okay. I put the acting is enough. I think many of us have been in those situations, so we know what's going on and we know what's being said or not being said. Having music take center stage really helps set the tone where the dialogue may have taken away from it. So, as the music is playing, in the pool scene, I'll start there. You can kind of hear what they're saying,
Mm.
um, but the music is supposed to, just sort of override that. And I think that's probably been a more common shared experience between people where, like, maybe you were at a place you didn't want to be at.
Yeah.
You didn't have your parent there to bail you out. And then after the car scene, um, maybe a little bit less common, but still, I think, too common of a thing where the music completely drowns out what's being said or any other sound effects going on. So with that music, like it not only helps set the tone, but like you're able to put yourself in that moment, not only like in that specific scene, but relive it when you went through it. So you know what's being said because you said it yourself. I think that's kind of what he was going for.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, really good points, guys. um, yeah, I agree. I think those scenes, um, without actually hearing the dialogue, hold their own. I agree with Hannah with her voiceover. You get the sense of what she was feeling in that moment, just listening to her kind of talk. You can hear the feeling of her just kind of giving up on it and um, the aftermath of what happened. Um, so yeah, I agree with all of you. Okay. Uh,
Are you okay?
yeah, it was just hearing everyone's answers made me emotional. Leave me alone. Okay. The next one is the car scene itself. So some criticize the car scene, saying that it didn't go far enough. Do you agree or disagree?
Alright. For this answer, I'm gonna say hear me out because this is just coming from, you know, being able to relate to this situation because it's, I'm a girl. I don't want to be criticized for being unfair, but I am a girl. So there's a certain understanding of this situation that I don't want to be, you know, oh, that's not fair, you're not thinking of the other side, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, the car scene for me went plenty far enough. As a girl myself, the feelings that Kayla had in that moment were all too real. I think every girl has an understanding of this because of the way we've been raised to approach these situations. Have a buddy with you, never walk alone at night, don't talk to strangers, learn ways to defend yourself. We've all been taught these things from a young age because society regards these issues as integral to women. Even as we were watching, two of the women of our group had very obvious first reactions to the situation because we are naturally inclined to react that way no matter how far it went. It didn't need to go any farther to convey its message, and personally, I'd love to know who thought it needed to, and the reason why, because that's pretty messed up. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
Ooh.
with.
Here comes Kyle.
No, 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 no. I'm with Hannah. No, I disagree. I think both me and my girlfriend, when we were watching the movie, were quite uncomfortable with the situation. Um, and I mean, we knew what was going on as soon as he got out of the car. Um, obviously, as a boy, I can't really. I mean, I can imagine how uncomfortable the situation is for a girl, but I can't really relate to it, if that makes sense. Um, just because I, you know, I don't know how to put it into words, but I mean, like Hannah said, I mean, there's a certain understanding that, like, girls have to be raised a certain way because of the society and because of what some messed up people are capable of doing. And, I can definitely, you know, I can see how it can be uncomfortable for any girl or any woman of any age. Um, that scene showed me, even more so how hard it is for women because of the men that are out there like that. I was scared for her the whole time, and it was so clear, so quick that she was clearly not comfortable. I mean,
Right.
in
Yeah.
general, she seems to be a person that's not very comfortable with situations. Uh,
Mhm.
a lot like any kind of situations. She's a very um, awkward, shy person, and there's nothing wrong with that. But um, it was pretty obvious pretty quickly that she was just totally not feeling that situation. Um, and I understand. I agree. That kid was, that kid was a fucking creep. But
Yeah.
the amount of shit that kid says to her is just awful. Trying to make her feel guilty for not giving him what he wanted. I
Yeah.
mean, someone needs to slap that kid. But I don't know. For me, the scene was what it was. I'm really happy that it didn't go any farther. Um, so personally, I'm okay with the length that it went, how far it went.
Mhm.
I, I definitely feel like it got its message across. Um,
Yeah.
but I don't, I really don't know why it would have to go any further than how far it went. Like, I'm happy she stopped when she did, and told him to just fuck off. So yeah.
Right. I think that's as far as it needed to go. Any more than that, and it drastically would have changed the rest of the movie.
Mhm.
I don't think we would have gotten that final video of, "Hey guys, I'm deciding to quit." Like, I think she just would have stopped without that,
Yeah.
letting everyone know. But I also think it showed how Kayla was stronger than she thinks she is.
Yeah.
Saying no to someone, even a stranger, or even like a friend of a friend that you're supposed to be hanging out with, it's a lot harder than people think it is.
Mhm.
So the fact that she was able to stop it when like this is someone who like she spent the whole day with, and like this is her ride home. Like she could have called her dad, sure, but like she was sort of like, okay, well he's supposed to give me a ride, and then she was still able to go, no, like I'm done. Like I
Yeah.
Yeah.
don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. So yes, I agree. I think that the scene went as far as it needed to go. Um, the way I knew about critics or people criticizing it was I watched the commentary on the movie a couple of days before we actually watched it as a group, and Bo Burnham said that people were telling him he should have changed the scene. He pretty much like it didn't have enough, and I totally disagree.
Yeah.
I or disagree with them. I think it was perfect, or not perfect. Obviously, it's not a good situation, but I think it was enough to the point where it kind of validates for those that have been in that situation that this is still wrong. It's still not okay, even though nothing really happened to you. Like it's still emotionally there. It still happened. It's still an issue. Like it's okay to not be okay from that. It's okay if you feel a certain way about that situation. So I think it validates those victims to be like just because the worst didn't happen to you doesn't mean it was okay. Um so yeah. Let's not talk about that.
well I want one more thing. This was my second time going through it.
It's our
Gigi's
second
and
time, yeah.
our second time. Like we knew what happened, but like my butthole was still like just
Oh
clenched from
yeah.
this.
Yeah, I tried really hard not to react to it, mostly because I wanted to see how everyone else reacted to it.
Hmm.
And like I said, I watched it a couple of days before, so like technically my third time watching it, and I still was like, my gut dropped, my heart was beating, like I was just like, I know how this ends, but like, it's just such an awkward situation, or I guess, because not to
Well,
say
I think it's because it's super easy to imagine what would happen otherwise.
right, right, the
Exactly.
doors go
Yeah,
open,
it's
or like
painful to just think about
you've
it.
been in a similar situation to that effect as well. Like the situation could have ended that way too. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, it's very relatable. Okay, whew. I'm getting all like grossed out. Okay, next question. I can't talk. Okay, next question. Bo used his own experience with anxiety and filming for YouTube to create Kayla. Do you think this film would have been the same if it was from a boy's point of view? I guess I should say male.
For me, I honestly don't know if I could say that it would have the exact same impact. I'm sure if it was the exact same story but with a boy, I'd absolutely feel empathy for the boy, but not in the same way that I did for Kayla. I feel like I was able to empathize with her further because I have been a middle school girl before and I've experienced a lot of the situations that she's in this movie. So it was very like easy to go back to that place. Um, but I think that the general uncomfort that girls generally go through in their middle school years is something I could more naturally grab onto and, like I said, go back to that place where I don't know if I could do that the same way for a middle school boy character. Like, there would be empathy for the character either way, but it's just not the same when you're not the same as them, I guess. At least for me. I don't know. That might be different for other people, but I don't know if I could empathize in the same way for a middle school boy.
Yeah. I don't think it would have been the same. Um, I feel like the story would have to be different. Because, I'm sure you could, and maybe there already is a movie like this from a boy's perspective. But you can make a movie about an eighth grade boy who's dealing with his own problems, and you could make a really great film, I'm sure. But for this particular story, it was meant for this character, Kayla, or, someone who's going through similar situations. I think a great example to back up my reasoning is just back in my eighth grade, at my middle school. I feel like boys had it way easier than girls did. Um, a lot of the boys in my grade, myself included, were oblivious to any of like the personal struggles of being a girl around that age. Um, boys, I feel like they don't really have that much to overcome or deal with or protect against. At least the society, it doesn't really aim those sort of things towards boys as much as they do towards girls. Um, I think it's a sad realization, but that's just how it is. Um, a lot of the boys at my middle school.
Double.
Having a
Well, that
little
came
bit
out
of
wrong.
Oh no.
A lot of the boys at my middle school were just dumb 13-year-old kids being just stupid, immature, thinking about, being class clown or the fastest in PE and thinking that that was going to get you all the girls. But I mean, the girls at my middle school, at least from what I remembered, they just seemed more put together. I don't want to say more mature, but more just, I don't know, not stupid like the boys. um, a lot of them didn't give a shit about the class clown, and trust me, I know because I didn't have a girlfriend in middle school because I
Oh,
was
okay.
too focused trying to be an idiot in class.
Oh,
Um,
oh.
I mean, don't get me wrong, there was some crazy troublemaking type girls at my middle school. There were, popular girls, preppy girls, whatever you want to call them. But I just feel like in general, girls, they always just have to be more careful and on their toes more than guys do. And I mean, it's a really sad thing to think about. It's unfortunate, but it's true because there are people out there that want to take advantage of people. And typically it's a guy trying to take advantage of a girl. And it's just, I don't know. It's really shitty. But um, going back to my main point, I think, I think from the perspective of a boy's point of view, I don't know. Like I said, I think it could be a really great movie. You just have to come up with the right story.
Yes.
Because there are different struggles that boys go through than girls, and some of them are the same, like trying to fit in or trying to be popular or just have friends. But for this particular story, I think it was perfect the way it was with it being centered around a girl.
I put it would have been a different movie. Insecurity is a trait that's more commonly associated with girls, especially around that age. It's a lot easier to sympathize with an insecure girl than a boy, as I think even to this day, boys are told to man up,
Mm.
and boys don't cry, like just keep it inside.
Yeah.
So, if Kayla was a Carl, then I think there would have been some eye rolling. Um, and then I think there would have been some like, oh, just suck it up, or this fucking loser, or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, even if they used the exact same things, just flopped the sexes, I don't think it would have had an impact
Yeah.
because boys are just told that's deal with it, just deal with it.
Yeah.
But
Be a
it
man.
worked because yeah, it worked because like this happens to women a lot, and you sympathize with that, you empathize with that. But for guys, and I guarantee there's some boy who had to go through this thing,
Mm.
but there really isn't sympathy for that guy.
Right.
Side question for you, Trevor, just out of
Yeah.
curiosity. Would you like to see that change? Like that perspective of
Mindset.
boys, yeah, that
I mean,
mindset
the
of
exact
boys.
same movie, but just a guy.
No.
But I mean, like, you said like boys are supposed to man up and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do you think, in a society now, even now, in the present, where we're a little bit more sensitive towards people, would you like to see a movie like this that, addressed that notion or addressed,
Oh,
how
definitely.
wrong that notion is or
Yeah, I
something like
was actually told that. I don't know, I must have been like five or so, and I believe I fell down, scraped a knee, and started crying because that's what you do. Like you hurt yourself and you're kind of scared for yourself. And my neighbor, it wasn't actually my dad, but my neighbor's dad said, "Oh, boys don't cry, so like just suck it up." And
Oh my god.
yeah,
Yeah.
so yes, I do think society's being more sensitive. I still think, though, that maybe the more traditional cultures are this is how boys behave. Like, you need to behave like that. I would like
that.
to see that changed across all cultures. Like, it's
Yeah.
okay to have feelings, it's okay to
Right.
have emotions, it's okay to be sad sometimes.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like I said, I would like to see that change. As for making a movie about it,
Sign
uh,
me up.
I would watch it. Um, like I said, if they just changed Kayla into like a guy, I don't know how well received it would have been.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like they could have done everything exactly the same,
Yeah.
and it wouldn't have been as well received. I don't think.
Yeah. I I agree with you. Like Trevor was saying, this society that we are, or maybe Hannah did point out, we are kind of changing to like reflect on that people have feelings, people, and the male gender should be allowed to cry and not be told to man up or whatever. But I agree with Trevor. I feel like even with us slowly changing, there's still a part of like the media or just pop like culture in itself where there would have probably been eye rolls. For example, in the car scene, if it was switched and it was an eighth grade boy and a high school senior girl, people would have seen that as like a victory. Like, oh, look at him, he's getting a high school girl, like uh, the way people see when the student and the teacher relationships, like, oh, well, he got a grown woman. Like, it's not seen as like a bad thing. It's seen as like, oh, look at them, they're doing so well for themselves. When in actuality, it's not. It's not a good thing. Um, so yeah, I don't think uh, from the boys' point of view would have had the same impact as Kayla's point of view did.
Which
Yeah.
is interesting because you said, he based it off of his own experiences and, his
Right.
experiences filming for YouTube. So, something obviously told him, like, well, I can't tell this from my own personal,
Yeah.
experience. It has to be from a different perspective in order to, like, impact. Just
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for him, with him being shown growing in the spotlight, so to speak, because he did gain popularity when he was a teenager on YouTube for his songs and things like that. Probably seeing how people reacted to him when he came out, that he was having anxiety problems, or he isn't always confident, and like, well, you're a guy, like how are you not confident? Um, so I think he probably took that into account when he was creating this movie as well.
Hmm.
But I'm not him.
I can't speak for him.
I can't speak for him. I can just do what he says. Or I can just be what he says, I should say. Yeah, okay. So this film was created to remind us of a time we want to forget, the non-nostalgia part of middle school. Do you think it achieved that?
Yeah, it did. Definitely achieved that for me. Middle school was very, very rough for me, and the movie was real enough to remind me of that very, very awkward phase of my life in depth.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of flashbacks to my own experiences as I watched Kayla go through hers, and it kind of turned me off a little to the movie, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Hmm.
Too
I
real.
it's I think we'll get to it with the ratings and stuff,
Yeah.
tomato meter and all that. But I don't know if I'd regularly visit this again. But I do really respect the movie in general for achieving that sense of understanding and um, you know really achieving how it feels to be a middle schooler. Like
Yeah.
that was real, and I can do nothing but respect it. So.
Yeah. So for me, I can definitely see how this film did achieve that, non-nostalgia part of middle school that people want to forget. But for me personally, it didn't really achieve that for me because my middle school was, it's pretty lit.
Oh
Um,
god.
Difference in
Jesus.
generation,
I
right
was
but
so
there.
cool.
um,
Oh my god.
I mean, yeah, like I said, I can see how this movie can remind people of a time they want to forget. And I'm sure for most people watching this movie, it achieved its goal. But for me personally, I had a pretty great eighth grade. Um, I think that kind of further proves my point of, the fact that boys are so oblivious at that age. I don't remember anything in particular that made my eighth grade suck. Um, the only negatives I can take away is I had acne. I had braces, and I was a bit of a
Well, look at you
troublemaker.
now.
I got kicked out of class a few times. That's about it.
Oh man, this guy.
Um,
Those were the
overall,
least of my problems,
yeah,
child.
exactly. That's exactly my point. I feel like
Yeah.
boys in general, they're just so oblivious, and it's not their fault, but it's just that's just how it is.
Comes with the territory.
Yeah. I mean, overall, my eighth grade was sort of my moment to reminisce on middle school and look back on the last 3 years. The last couple of weeks of eighth grade for me were pretty awesome. I got to go to Disneyland with my middle school band, and my baseball travel team was kicking ass. So life was good for me then. So I don't really remember like a non-nostalgic part of my eighth grade.
Damn.
But with that being said, I think freshman year for me was far worse than eighth grade. I hated freshman year, but that's just me.
Okay, so unlike badass Kyle over here,
Sorry, I'm just being
me,
honest.
I did find it very relatable. It's making us cringe in the parts that we were supposed to cringe at, and like I was kind of Kayla, like I was that quiet, shy kid who didn't say anything, like who desperately wanted friends or something. So I definitely felt that. And I think for most people, except for, Kyle over here,
Oh my god.
middle school was the least fun.
Yeah.
Like, I think for
Yeah.
everybody who goes to these schools, it would be college, high school, elementary, and then middle school in terms of like how fondly you remember it.
Yeah.
So, and I think the movie definitely brought up like some compelling reasons why.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I was also not cool like Kyle, so
Oh my god. That's not what I'm trying to say here.
Kyle's just like
We know,
he's
Kyle.
pulling up on his motorcycle and he's chain smoking and shit. It's like, eighth grade, here I come.
Oh my god. It's just a tricycle.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think for me, it was a different experience in eighth grade. I had my sister actually went to middle school, so she was in sixth grade and I was in eighth grade. Um, and I had, I guess you can say, like someone that had my back. Like I get along really well with my younger sister, so and we've always been together. Um, well, actually, she's a year younger than me, so she was there seventh grade and I was eighth grade, so I'm lying. But anyways, just having her there, I think probably gave me a little more, maybe not confidence, but it was just the fact that I knew I had someone that would have my back in school,
Yeah.
which felt really good. And I think for me, it was kind of scary because I was gonna go into high school with my older sister, and like me and my older sister, it's not like we didn't get along, but we never actually like spent time together unless it was required. So um, it was just gonna be a very different experience for me. But I definitely related to Kayla with the I'm gonna try to talk, I'm gonna try to be cool, and like cool kids would go by and they'd be like, oh, hi, like And the other thing for me that was a struggle is I had my cousin who's the same age as me, but he was popular. So then I had the popular people go, oh, or actually, I should correct myself. Popular girls go, oh, he's your cousin. Well, like, we should be friends. And like, I hated that because they, you know, thought my cousin was cute and he's my cousin. So I'm like, he's disgusting. When he was a child, he would like pick his nose. Like, you don't want that.
Yeah.
So I definitely had that happening. There was just a lot happening then. So yes, it brought back nostalgia. It brought back middle school for me. It brought back the awkward changing bodies thing. Yeah.
And pubes.
And don't forget pubes.
Wow.
Don't forget the pews.
Yeah. So I definitely think it achieved that. It definitely brought back those like awkward feelings. So thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Bo Burnham.
Thanks, Bo Burnham.
Yeah, Bo.
Okay. Now for a few non-serious questions. Just kidding. Okay, so
Wait, are you
Kayla's
just kidding about the non-serious, or
like they're not that serious. I think
you
they're a
said
little
just
bit more
kidding?
fun. I don't know. I'm nervous. Leave me alone.
Just kidding.
These
No
are
more
the most
questions.
serious questions we've ever been asked. in your
Okay.
life.
So Kayla's YouTube sign off is Gucci with like the little hand symbols. What would yours have been
Oh boy.
in 8th grade?
I don't even know what mine is now.
You guys are gonna laugh at me.
I can't wait! I looked up slang for 2006, so I'm ready.
Oh boy.
Okay, so in 8th grade, my best friend and I used to joke about the stupidest stuff, so I figured my sign off would probably be something related to that. She ended up moving to another school mid-year that year, and I was like devastated because she ended up she got homeschooled for the rest of middle school, and then she eventually went to South Park High, like the
Hell
South Park
yeah.
High.
Nice.
Yeah. But she used to live in this really foresty area, because I lived in Colorado, and we were constantly seeing, like, whenever I was at her house or whatever, we would constantly see deer and elk roaming around her house.
Cute.
So we used to do this really stupid thing as we passed each other in the hallways at school and be like, "Look, elk!" So that would probably be my sign off.
Aww.
Look, elk!
Nice.
Yeah,
All right.
that's it.
So for me, it's gonna be a little less innocent.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
So you
you
know,
know Kyle.
you guys remember that podcast where I was talking about my best friend's dad and how I walked in
Oh,
to
no.
his room
Miles,
and the
he's
whole
dead!
the whole moaning thing?
Yeah.
So in 8th grade, that was my freshman year, but in 8th grade, that was a thing in eighth
Yeah.
grade as well, with me and my friends. So my sign off, I can imagine it would be like just like, oh yeah, and then I'd end the video or something like that.
You know, TikTok is, I don't know, that's really popular on TikTok now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I started the trend 10 years ago, so you're welcome.
Okay, mine, I didn't really care about slang. I did have a go-to phrase that I said. I don't know if it would be suitable for like a sign-off phrase, but it would either be cool beans or it would just be like a simple bye or later.
Oh.
I never really cared about trends.
Gosh, cool beans, though.
Cool
That was the
beans.
thing.
Cool beans.
Yep.
A memory just hit me, so I will change mine actually. So it was gonna be peace out, because I did do a lot of peace symbols. Um, but I don't know, just remembering my sisters and I, we would always say love, peace, chicken grease. So that would probably be my ending.
That's a good one.
You know,
Yeah.
Gigi and her grease.
Yeah,
Gotta
love,
have
peace,
that
chicken
chicken
grease.
grease.
I'm pretty sure it's from a movie, to be honest.
That's hilarious.
I think it's
I've
from
never
the
heard it.
past. I think that's his saying, like when he's gonna leave, he goes, "Let peace, chicken grease," and like, yeah. So that would definitely probably be mine.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing.
I don't know, just like the thought of me and my sisters, I was just thinking about it, and I was like, we used to say that to each other all the time. And then I think at one point started putting it in my signature for my phone for texting. So
Oh my
yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Gigi's using up data to send chicken grease.
It's okay. I only text after 9 a.m. It's fine. Or 9 p.m. It's fine. Okay. And so one of the, or I should say, last question for me, and then we'll get to our usual questions. Have you ever done a time capsule?
I myself have never made a time capsule, but my high school did.
Oh.
We did like a ton of work outside I think it was the elementary school playground, and made like this huge, beautiful garden. It was kind of like my class's gift to the school.
Oh.
And so we made this garden. We did all the work to like put in stonework and like make sure that we had the right soil and stuff. There's like a whole archway thing in there too. Like it took us like 2 days to do it, but
Dang.
we were kind of forced to do it because the parents wanted to give something back to the school.
Yeah,
um,
parents.
but in that garden, there's a time capsule box with the school's flag and like a some sort of official letter from the principal from our class. And I think we had something that we all signed as well and put in there, but it's
Huh.
buried in that garden.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
I have never done a time capsule. I don't remember anyone at my schools doing anything like that either. Closest I can think of is like in my closet. I have some old memorabilia type stuff that I just kept over the years.
From middle school?
I mean, maybe not from middle school in particular. I mean, I have like my yearbooks or like certain shit. I don't even know. I'd have to look at it. But
Shit.
but yeah, I mean, I know there's like some stuff from my childhood that I have just sitting in my closet, or like my dad has some stuff like from my schoolwork or whatever. But I never really set out to make anything like that. Something that I would, look back at one day. But I mean, I kind of wish I did though. I think it's a really cool concept.
Nope. That's my answer.
Oh.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I have not done one either. I think like our high school did one, but I don't think I actually contributed to it. So yeah, no, didn't do anything.
Next time we're all together, we should do
That would be
one
so cute.
That'd be cool.
and then
Yeah.
and then bury it somewhere, and then like 10 years, 20 years later, whatever, come back and yeah.
Let's make it a
Only one of
body.
us will be alive.
Oh
Let's
my
make
God.
it a ball. Jesus.
Oh, Trevor. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's go on to the I think we do Rotten Tomatoes first, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the
Well,
one.
it's up to you.
Okay, well, I put what would you change first. So, what would you change?
Hang on, let me scroll down my notes.
Oh, okay.
I was ready for Rotten Tomatoes. Um, for what would I change? I can't really say there's anything that I'd change or could change about it. I feel like I'm a generation ahead of this movie, and therefore my views don't really affect it in the same way as someone who is of that generation or that the movie has already applied. Um, like I mentioned before, I give the movie mad respect for its authenticity and the true to form way of portraying middle school, but any changes that I would make it to or make to it would be a different movie entirely. So, yeah.
Okay, Kyle.
I would probably not change anything. I don't know. For me, I just enjoyed the movie, and I don't know. It's hard for me to think of anything that I would change. So, yeah. I don't really have anything.
For me, I would add in more Gabe. I really like that character.
That's a good
Yeah.
change.
Other than that, I think it achieved what it was trying to achieve. No, I wouldn't want to mess with that. But other than that, more Gabe.
More Gabe. For me, I think I don't know if it's necessarily a change, but it's more of like my curiosity. Would have been how did the friend hang out? How did the friend hang out start? Like, I was telling Trevor, like I think it'd be interesting if it was Kayla that kind of went out and reached out to Gabe to go, hey, we should hang out, to kind of show like she has a little more confidence in herself. Um, or was it Gabe who was like, hey, because I mean they were talking on Instagram, so I was like, we should hang out sometime. But I think that would have been a very interesting little thing to know.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, wait. I just thought of something.
Yes.
You've had your time.
You had your moment.
Well, I thought that maybe after that car scene, that maybe another scene with Olivia would have happened, but it didn't. I kind of wanted
Oh.
to see like if there was, like what her reaction would have been, because I'm sure because after a lot of suspicion about, this high school girl befriending a middle schooler. Like, it turned out that Olivia was actually pretty cool, and she was just genuinely trying to make friends, at least from what they showed on screen.
She was
Um,
her shadow, so they
I
kind of
know,
had to show her.
I know, but I mean, like, they hung out and stuff, and like,
Right,
she turned out to be a pretty cool person.
right.
Um, but like, I wanted to see what her reaction would have been if she found out about, what happened in the car after she was dropped off, because I'm sure she would have been upset about it.
Right.
But
I think though, with how Kayla was and the conversation that took place afterwards,
You wouldn't have told her.
like
Yeah.
she wouldn't have told her at
no,
all.
yeah,
I don't think she
yeah,
would have talked to
I
her.
don't think she would have talked to her anymore either.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, that was it.
Okay. Okay, so for the Rotten Tomato scores here, we have the tomato meter is at 99%, which is really high, and then the audience score is 82. Do you agree, disagree, make your own score?
For me, my score was like an 82 and 82%. I agree with Ian's score. This movie reminded me of a time that was really rough for me, so based mostly on its rewatchability, I don't think I want to come back to this over and over. um, but it still scores pretty high for me because of my respect for how well it was made and how real it got.
Yeah.
And especially the overall message. I think that also gives it a higher score, but I think the rewatchability for me is the thing that drags it down lower than the tomato meter.
Um, for me, I don't know. I mean, 99 is really high. Like, you've got to really, really love a movie if you want to rate it 99. For me, like, it's one of those movies that I'd probably watch again because it was a good movie and I did enjoy it. Um, but I think between the 99 and the 82, my score would be somewhere in the middle of that. I think 82 is a little too low. But I also feel like 99 is, I don't know. Like, I don't have any like negatives about the movie or anything. So it's hard to be like, well, it doesn't deserve a 99 because be, I don't know. It just,
I mean, I get your logic though. It should be a movie like you like. Oh my god, I love this
Yeah.
movie. I can
yeah,
rewatch it
like I
no
think
matter what.
I think a
Yeah,
Like
perfect
maybe it
movie,
changes how you think about something.
yeah.
yeah.
Like I think a perfect movie is anywhere between like 90 and 100 for me personally. So I would put it like I like 90.
Yeah, I agree with Kyle like 100%. I don't have anything against the movie, but a 99 is probably a little too high, and I think 82 is definitely way too low.
Mhm.
So, I'd probably give it a little bit higher than Kyle did, like maybe like a 95 or so. But I don't think a 99, like, it needs more Gabe for a 99.
No game.
um, yeah. I really love this movie. After the first time watching it, I was just like, I have to watch that movie again. Like, I think it was just a feeling I got when watching it, like the relatableness. Like, I've never felt like there's been like your typical teen movie where I was like, oh, I can relate to this person. Like with Kayla, I felt like I could relate to her for a lot of the movie, and I think that's why I generally just love this movie. But that being said, I do agree 99 is a tad bit high. Um, I would probably go with like the 96, 97 on it. I think the audience score is a little too low. Um, but yeah. Joe!
What would you give it?
It's
What
a
did you say?
96, 97.
96?
Yeah. I'd probably do 97 just because I love it. Alright. Time for our favorite moments. Gucci!
God.
Um, For me, I think I really only had like two favorite moments. One was kind of the ending, just seeing her, come to a comfortable place with herself. That felt really good, and I liked how she got in what's her face's face. It was like, I
Yeah.
sent you that letter.
Kennedy.
You didn't
Yes.
send anything back.
My
Yeah.
favorite though is like she was
It was still,
confident
Whoa, wait, whoa, this is Hannah's.
oh. I was gonna just comment on that moment. It was like she was confident, but she was still looking down. That's all I was gonna say.
yeah, that's what I was
Whoa,
literally
whoa,
about to say. It
whoa.
was like, it was still awkward as heck because that's just her personality, but it was, a step up for her. So I really
Yeah.
Yeah,
appreciated that.
she was staring at the ground the whole time.
I just
Yeah.
whoa whoa whoa.
Um, but then my other favorite scene was anything with Gabe. Um,
Yes.
I just love his character, and I love how Gabe wasn't affected by like much of the drag of middle school. He's kind of like Kyle said, like in that oblivious state where he's just like, I want to have a breath holding contest, or
Yeah.
we're gonna have a chicken nugget date. Like,
That would be
I don't know.
me.
I'm a huge fan of how he's just a big geek, and I'd share a chicken nugget date with lightsaber silverware with him anytime.
uh, um, I mean, there were a lot of great moments in this film for me. I really enjoyed whenever Kayla kind of stood up for herself or kind of went out of her shell and did something, like at that birthday party when she went and did the karaoke, or like when she stood up to Kennedy and kind of yelled at her. And I mean, moments like that were really like, you get him, girl. But I mean, my favorite scene has to be when her and her dad are in the backyard, I think, and they're burning the time capsule. And I mean, there was just a lot of really great dialogue from both sides, and it was a really sweet moment. Um, because the dad is really just, you know, really proving to Kayla that he is, that he loves his daughter, and um, would do anything for her. And it was just really sweet. Um, and yeah, that was my favorite moment.
Mad props for her dad.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
Yeah, cargo shorts and
Yeah.
all.
Like she kind of spent like a whole lot of her time just trying to ignore him and
Yeah.
just tune him out, and then she kind of learns that he was on her side the whole time.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Like
Kayla.
every middle schooler finds out later in life.
See,
All
that's
right,
another
so you
thing.
guys,
Sorry.
yeah,
It's another thing I can't relate to is my dad and I were like super fucking close. Like, especially when I was a
Super
kid.
fucking
Like, he was
close.
like a brother to me more than a dad. So,
Oh.
Dad, bro.
dad, bro.
Dad, dad.
all right, so you guys already know my favorite moment, Gabe in the pool. Like any kid who's like, "Hey, do you want to watch me do a handstand?" Like that's the cool kid right there.
But is it a handstand in the pool or outside the pool? Where's the
It
pool?
has to be in the pool. Who
Oh,
cares
okay.
about handstands outside of the pool?
I'm just asking.
And
Specifically
then
in the pool.
like his introduction, he pops up out of nowhere and he's like, "I did it." And then she's all confused and he's like, "Oh, I just swam across the whole pool underwater." And then like he needed to let her know I could have gone on longer, but the limitations of the pool. Like
Obviously.
that's a cool kid right there.
Oh, it's funny. Okay. So yes, my favorite moment is also the campfire burning moment. Uh,
But
was
Gabe wasn't there.
yeah, Gabe wasn't there. He wasn't meant to be there. Trevor. Yeah.
If he had been there, it might have been a better scene.
Oh my god. Just more of the fact of like I've had that talk with my mom. Um, Definitely feeling like Kayla, feeling like the part where she's like, "Do I make you sad?" Like I've had that conversation with my mom. Like I've told her that I felt like I've disappointed her and all this other stuff, and like it felt so real with her dad like struggling to try to figure out like, no, I want to fix this. I'm gonna hopefully help you, make you feel better.
Yeah.
So I think that's why it gets me every time. I've cried every time I've seen that scene. I think just like I said, for the moment of like I've had that conversation. I've felt how she's felt, and I've had my mom always turn it around and make me feel better. Um, and to just remind me that she loves me no matter what. So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm not gonna cry. Don't look at me. Yeah. I don't think there's any other thing we do, right?
Hannah's reveal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Hannah's reveal.
Oh, yes. Let me come out of my closet here.
What?
No.
That's a different expression.
Whoa.
Different one.
That was a
Which way is
joke.
this going?
No, pack up your Capri Suns, kiddies, and turn them in for some TI-84s, because we're heading to high school.
Oh God.
Ah, shit.
Capri Suns.
I've already done
Yeah.
that.
I've had Kool-Aid pouches, but cool.
So we're going to be diving into another coming-of-age story in the movie Booksmart. So tune in for that.
Yeah.
Is it about a nerd?
You'll see.
Geek.
A bitch.
I'm not going to say anything more about it.
A nerdy geeky bitch.
Sounds like my
Actually,
type of
kind
friend.
accurate.
So that's it. Should we all just end it with
Yeah.
Gucci?
Cool beans.
Gucci!
Yeah, and end it with all of our
Yeah,
Oh, all of our
end
ends.
things.
Okay,
Oh
Oh,
god.
that was implied.
let's do it in order.
You start.
I'll start. Okay. Love, peace, chicken grease. Andrew, you're supposed to continue.
Look out!
Oh yeah.
Cool beans.